Love hurts, love
Love
scars.
scars, love wounds and marks, any hurt not tough. Are you gonna fucking sing it with me or what? To take a lot of pain, take a lot.
Take a lot of pain.
I
Damn.
don't know the fucking rest because I don't know the rest. There you go.
Ooh.
Love hurts.
Oh, guys, and
To
then
be
welcome to
fair,
episode
love does
9.
hurt, doesn't it?
What?
Does love hurt?
I can do, I guess.
Alright, go on. You do what you need to, sir.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to episode 9 of the Slash and Gash horror podcast. Today, me and Frank, we're going to be talking about Halloween 2007 because recently it's just been the 17th anniversary. And if you've watched any other episodes, you guys probably know we're big fans of Rob Zombie's Halloween, even though that's kind of a controversial thing in the horror community, especially amongst Halloween fans. Kind of, maybe not as controversial as maybe something like Halloween 2 or Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But because of the anniversary, and we can talk shit about this film for eons, we're going to do a quick episode, thoughts about it, criticisms, and kind of what it means to us. So I'm going to hand you over to Frank.
Yo, people. Hope everyone's well. Yeah, man. Rob Zombie's Halloween. I think, like I was saying to you, man, off air, like, I think this film gets a lot of unnecessary hate for me. I don't know why. Like, I think, well, I do know why, but I think the reasons why people say why they hate it, I feel like they're not too justified. Like, I think a lot of people, what their main issue is they don't like that. Well, even I've got a few issues with it, but I think the broader people's perspective on it is like the people don't like that they showed Michael's like upbringing too much, like they reimagined it too much. But then again, it's not, even though it's said that it's like a remake, but it's not meant to be like a complete remake. Like what I rate Zombie for is that he reimagined it and made it his own thing. Like yeah, like we said in it, the first half is all his thing, and then the second half is pretty much like just Michael from the night in 1978, just on a mad one. But what I love about it the most is like, well, it is one of the first slasher films that I watched, like in the slasher horror genre. But and that's because of you. You let me borrow it. We've said that in the earlier episodes. But what I mostly love about it is that it's really brutal, and I like that. Like I like it's that like it's gory. I like that you get to see a lot of blood, like not too much, but not too little. And I like that we've got our inside jokes of the film as well, like Joe Grizzly, and then there's the scenes with Danny Trejo where he's like, "I was good to you, Mikey. I was good to you."
Ishmael.
Like we obviously, and well, I guess it's fair to be. It's fair to say that we also like it because like there was a lot of scenes that we used from that film in our drama class, but you know, I guess our drama teachers weren't like too switched on to know that these lot are ripping up Halloween '07 scenes to get their
Did we do
marks.
that? Did we do that in year 10 when I was doing Joe Grizzly?
Yeah, yeah. I think I was Joe Grizzly and you were
No,
maybe
you weren't,
Michael.
man. No, the way it worked was, I remember because we did a mashup. I was Chuck Norris and you were Hanson from Scary Movie 2. And then my death scene was Joe Grizzly.
It does sound familiar. I
You ever
think Joe Grizzly.
make that fake toilet? And I was saying, money, I want to give you a heads up.
Well, we definitely used like one of the scenes, or we used one of the characters like as inspiration in it for using like because we couldn't come up with anything then, and we were so obviously back then. This is almost like not 20 years ago, but like maybe almost 15, 16 years ago, in it like no way
Mm,
actually, yeah, 10 would have been 2010, so 14 years ago, but like
yeah,
uh
Jesus.
it's mad to think how fast time's gone. But because like for me anyway, like, even though I was into horror a little bit, but it's fair to say that when I met you, and I said this in the first episode, innit? But when I met you, like, I guess you brought the horror beast out in me. The beast in me. I don't know. I don't know the rest of that song. But you know what I mean? The beast in me. You brought the beast out in me, innit? And then you unleashed a monster. So if people are thinking like, yo, who created this Sasquatch? It's this guy right here. He created this Sasquatch.
Well, I just had all the DVDs, didn't I? So I used to bring them in.
You
Like,
did.
oh, check this one. Because I remember I got 307. I bought it from Asda, or my parents got it. But so yeah, man, I took like that was that was the move, innit? Like remember because I had the unrated cut or the director's cut, whatever.
Yeah.
So
what's your first memory of Halloween 07 though? Like, can you think back that far back? Like, what do you remember like instantly, like when you watched it?
Well, the thing that comes back to me is I remember I had a portable DVD player, and I watched it on that when I bought it. But I remember watching it, and I really liked the film because I think at that time I don't even know if at that point I'd watched the original, so like I kind of wasn't sullied by the original in a sense. So
you must have
maybe, but I don't remember. I probably but I wasn't like that. I watched because for me at the time when you're a kid, I wasn't that young. I was a teenager, but like an early teenager, early teens. But I think the thing that got me was obviously you're a kid and you like that kind of maybe not the brutality, but like it's when you're a kid you're like, oh god.
I know what you're trying to say. The X-rated scenes.
Like so for me,
you like the tits, didn't you? You like the tits and ass.
No, that's not what I'm getting at, right? That doesn't. Right. That's maybe not there. I mean, it's because of like the brutality. It's kind of shocking. Whereas the original, what isn't really a brutal movie, it's creepy, it's suspenseful. But in this, Myers is on a mad one, and he's fucking stabbing everyone.
Yeah. That actually, it aligns with me. Like, even though, do you know what's mad? Yeah, and this might sound like crazy to people listening, but I really didn't like the 1978 Halloween. If you remember, I used to shit on it. Like, but then again, I used to do it more to piss you off. But then when I actually like sat down and watched it properly, and then I remember me and you watched it in cinema when they brought it out in cinema like in 2014 or 15, like just for a one-off special. And after watching that, like, it was on Halloween night. And after watching it in cinema, I was like, okay, I get why this film is regarded as one of not just the best slasher horror films, but one of the best horror films of all time. It was awesome for when it came out, innit? Very little blood, but still did what it had to do. And obviously 07 is like the complete opposite, innit? It's like, but then again, 07, you have to remember, like, it came out at a time where slashers were kind of not even, about, like, you remember we said this in one of the episodes where after Halloween Resurrection, there was slashers for like that 5 years, like slashers were kind of non-existent, right? Between that period.
Yeah.
So when we saw like all that blood, guts, and gore, like in Halloween 07, it was kind of like a welcome because especially for us growing up in that era, like we wanted to see that shit. I guess I don't know.
Well, really like that, man. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, all the others, but they probably kind of amped up the gore, didn't they? They kind of amped up the brutality because it was the era in it. Like it wasn't the same as the 70s where they're kind of doing a bit more suspense. They were kind of a lot more maybe 80s style with like Friday the 13th, like they kind of because obviously Friday the 13th is well known for its gore and its kills, but for me, like I especially as a kid, like I'm still now because obviously I remember you used to like not piss me off, but I was still Reddit back then, man. I was like a Reddit enjoyer. I was like, oh no, you got to be a purist. The original is always the best. And obviously, I love the original, but for me, 2007, because actually I'm a big fan of Rob Zombie. I like his music. I like his other films. Like actually, the Devil's Rejects is like one of the best horrors of the 2000s. I like the way he stuff.
It is.
I think I love for his movies, and I said this in the review of Halloween, but I even like the second one. I like the sequel. Obviously, that's
Halloween
grew.
09 or 209.
Yeah, and it grew on me as an adult, but especially now, like I would sit there and say I'd prefer the remake to the original. Now, maybe that's just nostalgia. Maybe that's me looking back, but I just like the film. Like the first half doesn't do much for me, other than like the bants. Like that fucking Ronnie guy played by William Forsythe. It's like
I
I'm all
think, yeah,
can't work.
yeah,
Like that is fucking funny. But for me, the
uh,
first part kind of isn't that good. But when you get into like Myers in the asylum, and then you get my boy not Donald Pleasance, Malcolm McDowell. I love Malcolm McDowell's Loomis. He's fucking
yeah.
hilarious.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the reason why we do love Halloween '07 or so much is not because of the story. Like the story, if anything, the story is probably the worst part about it. But I think the actors that Rob Zombie uses, like he likes to use the same characters in most of his films, isn't it? Like Ronnie was also in is it Devils, I think, as the copper.
Mm.
And he likes to use the same characters in it, so we kind of got used to seeing them. um and I think that's because we found a way to, like, it's funny the way it's funny when you think about it, innit? Like, if someone saw it from our lens, right, they'd understand why we love them, why we love '07 especially. Like, for example, but then objectively, when you think about it, you understand why it gets a bit of hate. But I don't know why, but people really like put it low. People need to like sort of give the guy credit that he did his own thing and actually made it his own. Like, and if it wasn't, I feel like he said it himself. Like this, the producers kept interfering on set on '09. I feel like that's why it kind of bombed a bit, in my opinion.
Well, he did do really well. He didn't bomb in the cinemas at all, man. Like he did really well. Obviously, amongst like the hardcore horror fans, they don't like it, or they're suspicious of it. But for me, the way I see it is, someone were going to remake that film anyway. Like there was going to be a Halloween remake, right? Now, Rob Zombie, say what you want, but I think he's a good director. He gets horror. He's a fan of the
Mm.
franchise. He's a fan of like the original film. And he's a fan of horror. So for me, I think the guy gave it a good shot. And the only thing was he had to try something new. He wanted to do the kind of origin thing. For me, it's not that important. But I actually think of the era. The kind of like the 2000s. People are obsessed with kind of like serial killers, their origins. They're obsessed. Like Criminal Minds is like obviously a big show. So at the era, it made sense for him to kind of do that. Whereas in the '70s, obviously it's mysterious, right?
Mm.
And obviously, look, people have done that kind of before. Like Halloween 6, I love Halloween 6, but in that they basically did what? They fucking said a cult was controlling Myers' ass, right?
Yeah.
From like the ancient pagan deity Bagul or whatever, from Sinister. You were running the show, right?
Yeah.
So at least in this one, yeah, they kind of did the classic thing. He's kind of got a broken home, he
Mm.
kills animals. He's a weird kid. He's obviously got
I
troubles.
like that though. I like that first half, showing like it may like I know it's a film in it, like you don't want it to be too like real life, but if a killer was gonna happen like that, then it would make sense, innit? Like he's coming from a fucked up home. Like, bro, if you're gonna have a stepfather who's fucking taking the piss out of you at breakfast every morning, you're gonna get pissed off in it and start to go on a mad one. You know what I mean?
Michelle. He got cut his dick and balls off and calling himself Michelle.
Exactly.
Hey,
Guys,
hey,
if
clown.
for example, if I was your stepdad and I said that to you, you get pissed off and want to try kill me as well, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's what happens, man. Then obviously he's got all like, it's just the kind of classic, horror like serial killer origin story they went with. So which I don't mind. Like, what else is it gonna be? It's either you do the classic if you're going for a realistic depiction, you're gonna
Mm.
go with okay, he had a fucked up childhood. Because the only other thing you can do is I don't know, he found the Necronomicon, he did a fucking little mission, and then he fucking went crazy.
You know what's funny though is you said that Halloween 2's '09, his sequel, has grown on you as well, and obviously it's the 15th anniversary for that. So
Mm.
let's go into that a bit as well. Um, I used to hate this film, like I just couldn't stand it. But to be honest with you, there is still a bit of me that doesn't like it. Like sometimes when I'm watching it,
We've
I
had
think,
that recently, man.
yeah, no, and I still found it a bit hard to watch. But it's obviously the bits with his mum in it and the horse, bullshit. Like that's the bit which I just whenever that comes on the screen, I'm just like, oh, if it wasn't for
Mm.
that, honestly, seriously, if it wasn't for that, I think Halloween 209 would actually not be too bad. But when they,
Well, it is a bit. I'll give you that.
I think I don't know what he started like. I bet even he didn't know what he was thinking with that shit. I guess, like you said in it, there was meant to be a third one and they cancelled it. Maybe he was trying to lead into that with the bullshit that he put in '09. But
He didn't want to make a sequel, but I think it was in his contract that he had to make one. And I think he said
mm,
he just kind of made up the white horse thing. Like, so I think he was just kind of fucking about. I don't think that was like two wasn't a passion project. He just kind of went a bit weird. It was like a bit Rob Zombie music video esque, like he's like metal music videos. So I think he just went on a different route. But was he the original man? Like, and also, sorry to just backtrack. Malcolm McDowell, man, in both films, especially in the second one, he's the funniest fuck. Like he's
yeah,
just, especially in the second one, he's like, if I want your opinion, I'll beat it out of you. Now get your ass in the car.
this is my
Like,
point. Like, I think going back to what I was saying, like, I think the actors that Zombies chosen for both films sort of make up for how shit the plot is. If it wasn't for them actors, then them films would actually be at the bottom two for me in my rankings. It would.
and they have some great actors. They've got Brad Dourif, they've got
Mm,
Udo Kiel, they've got Malcolm McDowell. Obviously, Scout Taylor Compton was good. I thought her Laurie was good. They had God,
Daniel
what's
Harris.
Daniel Harris. Like it was an all-star cast.
Yeah, it was.
So, and obviously, again, they got Ken Forey as Joe Grizzly. Like they had some. They had Danny Trejo. He's Sid Haig in there.
Sid Haig's in the first one,
Haig's
I think,
great.
as the graveyard guy.
They had the caretaker. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of great actors, man. Like it's Rob Zombie really knows how to get like good people in his films, even if it's like a small role.
Yeah, and I've seen a video in it. It's like 4 hours of how they made Halloween 207. And honestly, the guy looks like a fucking like such a sick guy to work for. Like he doesn't seem like a dick or anything. Like, when he's directing, he seems like such a sweetheart. Like, you know what I mean? When he's directing, he's like proper getting the guys into the role. So for me, like, oh 07 overall, it's always going to be one of my favorite Halloween films. And I guess, yeah, there is a lot of it is to do with because it's the first Halloween film I saw and the nostalgia I've got with you with it and the high school. And it's very sentimental. Do you know what I mean? But if I
Hmm.
put that aside, I still think it is not a bad Halloween film that some people make it out to be. Number
Yeah, I
two,
totally
number
agree, man. I like
209,
Myers.
it is.
I like Tyler Mane as Myers. Uh,
Yeah.
I like that he's this giant. It's like WWE style Halloween. The guy looks like Kane or something.
Well, I
You
think it
know,
was no, but I didn't like that man. I think that's the only thing I'd change. I think he's just a bit too big. Like he could have been James Jude Courtney's height at least. The guy's like 6'7" or 8, man.
I always liked it. I thought it was intimidating, but also at the same time, like, well, I just think it's funny. Like, what were they feeding him in that mental asylum, bro? Are they feeding
That's,
him like they're Bane steroids from Batman?
that's funny. Do you know what's funny as well? Like, it's when that scene in it, obviously, which scene I'm on about where they break into his room and they're trying to trigger him in it and taunt him to turn around. It's like, come on, man, you want a bit of pussy, Michael? You want a bit of pussy? And then he's
Oh,
like,
that
hey,
scene
come
for
on,
me,
killer.
the director's cut. He's so unnecessary, man. It's such a bizarre scene, but it's Rob Zombie. I know he does fucked up shit, but I
No,
remember watching that
what's
as a
happening
teen.
in that scene is unnecessary, but
Yeah,
what the
but
lines
also
are
at the
funny.
same time, do you know in the uh, theatrical version where he kind of just breaks out like Frankenstein?
Yeah, I actually do prefer the director's cut though. What about you?
Well, I think the theatrical cut is stupid. He breaks out like Frankenstein. The guy basically turns into Brock Lesnar. Like,
Yeah, when he takes out all the cops and gets out.
yeah, I feel that's dumb. I feel like that's in some ways in Rob Zombie's world. In the director's cut, it kind of makes more sense because like Rob Zombie's movies, everyone's like a weird, kind of like creepy deviant in it. So
Yeah,
it
like a
makes
degenerate,
sense.
it's like a perv on the loose.
Yeah, because that's always his vibe, Rob. He always has just a. He kind of. Obviously, he's kind of a bit of a. He likes that kind of like Charles Manson style, doesn't he? Where everyone's a bit weird. They're kind of maybe a bit hillbilly-ish.
Trailer trash kind of
Yeah,
culture.
which
Mm.
which I kind of like that vibe about his movies. You know me, I kind of like that trailer trash style. Maybe not being a deviant, but I like that, like, trailer park boys. So I kind of like that, man.
I really enjoy the director's cut, but I said this to you before. Like the only thing I would change is, well, overall, what I'd change is the height of Tyler Mane. Well, the height of Michael Myers. But that's it's not the worst part. But sometimes when you're watching it and you're thinking, bro, this fucker's so big, it's unreal. That's one thing I'd change. Yeah. And the other thing I'd change is, well, actually, he did he didn't do this like in the director's cut, which is good, but in the theatrical cut, it's good that he kept the ending where the coppers shoot him at the end, and in the director's cut, she shoots him right in the face. Like that was obviously one of the issues that we both had in it. Like it makes no sense how he would come back from that.
Yeah, you get plugged in the face by like a 357 Magnum. You're dead in it. Like that's like
Yeah,
shit like how would you to blow your head off? Like, come on.
yeah, exactly. And everything else, man. Like it's pure nostalgia for me. You know, whether I'm watching it with you, whether I'm watching it by myself, Halloween '07 is just pure nostalgia for me, and it really will be one of my favorite Halloween films of all time. And like we were going on to '09, his sequel. It's the 15th anniversary for that. Even though I used to hate that fucking film, it has grown on me. I have to admit, it has grown on me. I think what it is that's grown on me is the fact that I've accepted that it's shit. When you accept something that's shit, you start to kind of like just not like it as much, but like just
You learn to like it.
yeah, exactly. Like you kind of just accept it for what it is. Like there are some good scenes in that, bro. That first half an hour is awesome, isn't it? Like that first intro, that opening intro in Halloween 209 is probably one of the best in one of the top 5 in the franchise openings, I'd say.
Oh, he's on rampage, isn't he, in the hospital?
So good, isn't it? Like what's awesome is, when he's outside in the rain and the storm's just like it's just pacing it down, and how good does that mask look when it's like all wet? Like it looks really
Yeah,
good.
he's changed. Is that when he kills that buddy guy with an axe?
No, Buddy. Rip
Oh,
Buddy, man. Yeah, he killed Buddy, man. But Buddy didn't deserve that. Buddy, what does he say with Laurie? He's like, "Oh, you're gonna get ill out here. I'll go get something for you. I'll be right back. It's okay. I'm coming back." And then he don't fucking come back. Just gets fucking. Doesn't he get like just a stab right in the fucking face or something?
In like the back or something with an axe.
Oh shit, yeah, he does, isn't it? But what I love, obviously, I know it's a dream sequence, but like, what I love is if Michael was gonna kill Laurie, at least we got a glimpse to see how he would have done it. Doesn't he fucking break up that little cabin bit and just smashes her right in the face with the axe? Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. I love
It's a
that
bit
scene.
too
And then
brutal in that. Like, he stabs that nurse. He's like stabs her about 50 times. He's like, oh, oh,
awesome, isn't
oh.
it? Yeah. Oh, the fucking sounds he makes. Like he's
Yeah.
horny. That's
You
what we
fucking,
always just say. It. He's like, yo, the guy just wants to fuck her instead of killing her. He's just like,
we,
ooh.
we always called him Degen Myers, isn't it? Because the guy's a proper degenerate, man.
Oh, we call him that for another reason as well. But that's
That's hidden. That's it. That's not for the public. They don't know that. That's hidden law.
What else in Halloween 2? Obviously, like you said in it, Malcolm McDowell's awesome in both films. Like, in the start of Halloween 107, he's just the way he walks in like a badass when he's like younger. He's like, "Oh, what now, man? What do you got me in here for?" And he's like, "Oh, we got another one." And then he's talking to Sherry Moon Zombie, who's I forgot her name now. Well, his mum, I forgot her actual name. Michael's mum in the film, and he's like, "I'm afraid your son is a psychopath. He's a killer."
You should do that at the highs of a psychopath, man. Frank does it really well. It's funny as fuck.
Should I give him like a hint? Should I give him like
Yeah, go on.
a sneak peek?
A taster.
Okay. Let me think of which bit to do. Michael was created by a perfect alignment of interior and exterior factors gone violently wrong. A perfect storm, if you will. Thus, creating a psychopath that knows no boundaries and has no boundaries. Now you can
Should do
chip
the
up your.
rest, man.
You what?
Should do the rest.
Now that's the end bit. I missed out the start bit. Now I'll do it for them when if they ask for it in the comments. They got you can't give it to them on a plate, man. They got to beg for it. You got to
That's
make them
true.
beg
That
for
is
it.
true.
You got to make them work for it. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
But don't you just love how mad he is in the second one? Like the guy's unhinged. Like he's just the fame gets to him in it, the money, the fame.
Mm.
But I love that though. Like he's such a good actor in it. Like he's so good in whatever he's in.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
don't think anybody other than Donald Pleasance, like other than Malcolm McDowell, could have played it. Like who else would do it, man? Obviously, it's a remake in it, so he was perfect for the role, like a classic English actor, and he was just a funny bastard.
I love when he in '09. I think he is the silver lining for me in '09. He's the reason why it went from a film that I really couldn't tolerate to a film that I can actually bear watching now. And that one line where he's in the conference room again, and they're taking questions, and one of them asks him, "Do you think he's still out there?" He's like, "All right, let me make this nice and sparkly clear for you. Michael Myers is fucking dead." I fucking love that scene, man. He's so the way he says it, and then whilst he's saying it, you see fucking Hobo Myers walking through the woods. It's just awesome.
Yeah, he's irate and he's like he's such a like in some ways over the top. It's hilarious, and for me, I like that. I
100%,
know a lot
yeah.
of people don't, but for me, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think, like you said, in it, I bet Zombie just told him like, "Yo, you just do what you want and how you do it. Like, and if I think it's not how I want it, I'll let you know." But what I love, yeah, is like I told you, I watched a behind the scenes documentary of how they made the '07. Everyone's like just having such a blast, and
Mm.
it's so good to see. Like, no one was a dick to anyone. And I guess it does help in it, like you said, like Zombie uses a lot of the similar characters that he uses, that he knows in it from other films, and that's good that he's built that rapport with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But 17, bro, can you believe it's 17 years, Halloween '07, and 15 years,
Has
Halloween
this been in our
2009.
life for like 17 years?
Well, it came out. I mean, I know it came out in the UK like a few months later, but like we're going off, when it came out in America. It came out in America surprisingly in August of 2007.
That's not
So it's like,
surprising. You know that they used to do that. They used to bring out Halloween films in August. That came out in. That's the same with H2O Resurrection. Like they started bringing them out in August. I think that was
yeah,
Dimension.
I guess it makes sense to bring it out in September now. I know they brought out the DGG's trilogy and all of them in October, but
It's got
if
to be
this,
October, man. I think Dimension Films had their head up their Kulu.
they definitely had it up the ass. But yeah, man. Any final thoughts on one of our favorite? Well, definitely out of the two, one of our favorite films, like in the horror genre.
Uh, I would say if you haven't watched it and you're like maybe a younger horror fan or new to horror, you should
Mm.
definitely watch it. Obviously, if you've seen the Halloween, you know the DD. There was it David Gordon Green's trilogy, and you've watched maybe the original. I'd recommend Rob Zombie's Halloween. I'd recommend '09. Definitely '07. Rob Zombie's Halloween did the first remake. I'd recommend it. It's fun. Just go into it and have fun with it, which I think you should always do with Rob Zombie's films. They're kind of silly. They've always got some like funny dialogue, and also yeah, they got some mad gore normally, some mad like kills. So yeah, give it a try, give it a watch, try have fun with it.
Yeah, that's agreed. Like like I said at the start, like look, I do understand why people have certain issues with the film, but I feel like they're very overly critical of Halloween '07. Like for me, I like that the guy had the balls to make it his own thing, especially that first half. You know, he did get told that he needed to, write a remake or a reimagination, and that's exactly what he did, especially that first half. So whether you like the plot or not, he did what he had to do. And for me, we both really like it. Well, almost love it. Oh 09, 15 years, 15 years of that. It's grown on me. Check that out as well if you haven't. And yeah, for some reason, I hope Rob Zombie gets another shot, like with a big name, like I don't know, in the horror community, in the horror franchise. But I doubt it. Will he? Do you reckon he's done in that slasher game, like with big titles?
I don't think he's done. I just think he's probably won't do another remake because that's the only. I know he's just done like a kind of film of the monsters, but I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
you'll ever see him go back to like another big genre film. Like
Mm.
he obviously does his own films now. They're always kind of a bit more low budget. I don't think he'd go to that big studio thing again.
Oh yeah, and I don't blame him in it. Like he said in many podcasts, like they interfered a lot, and obviously, but if you've got experience, if you experience people interfering with your creative, craft and what you think is right, then you're obviously not going to work with big studios with big egos, in it? Who too
Yeah,
many chefs in
exactly.
the kitchen.
I would say to the audience, go and obviously watch the. I'd watch House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, watch 31, watch The Haunted World of El Super Beasto. That's quite a fun film, quite like maybe fun to watch on Halloween or something. But yeah, give some of Rob Zombie's movies like a chance. I think they're quite good. But yeah, bish bash bosh. Give that a watch.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, guys and girls. Let us know what you think if you've seen both Halloween '07, 17 years of that, and Halloween 2 '09, 15 years of that. Let us know what you think of both of them, or one of them if you haven't seen both. Subscribe to our Instagram, which is /angash podcast. Easily, you'll easily find it. And if you can't, just find it in our YouTube bio, and then you'll find it on Insta. We'll be back very soon, won't we? We'll
Yeah,
be
man.
back. Not sure what we're going to talk about next, but it will be about slashing and gashing. That's all from me. And any last words, Tits McGee?
Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Uh, like, share, subscribe. Follow the Instagram. Yeah, let's go.
All right, people. See you in the next one. Stay spooky.